Good morning. Blessed day it is. It's a blessed day. Every day the above ground is a blessed day, a great day. Today is a day the Lord hath made, and I shall rejoice and be glad in it. I don't like being theatrical. I want to just say that I'm grateful that the Lord has given me so many opportunities in life to exhibit who He is through my life and the way that He has changed my life and allowed me to experience his goodness in a way that I never thought I would. And I also want to express my gratitude to everyone who uh, attentively watches the videos that I create in honor of God. I don't do this for fame. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to be a YouTube creator or anything like that. Um, I decided that YouTube was the best platform for me to use because um, there's a little bit more there's more of an audience there, and just simply making videos on Facebook leave people something to scroll past. I mean, it happens on YouTube, but there are people looking for answers on YouTube. They're looking for help, they're looking for instruction, they're looking for educational videos, they're looking for you know ways to not manipulate, but to navigate. And I know this life that we live in our mortal being, it's not always easy. It's not always easy. It's something that we try to be perfect, and we try to do everything right all the time. And it's and then we know that we're making a mistake, or we know we mess up, or we know we made a bad choice or something, and sometimes it rides with us for hours, days, weeks, months, years, and it just sometimes it's a thorn in the flesh, and it never goes away. I've got things like that. I confess I have things like that that bother me still, even though they're long past gone, or it's just a lingering thought, or something that I just look back on and think, fool, like, why was I foolish enough to do something that's stupid, or like, why did I choose to do this thing or that thing, and I should have known better. But that too is relative to the guidance that we have throughout our youth to help us make choices and decisions in life that have an impact on our futures or our day-to-day living, on the way we uh, raise kids, the way we do our jobs, the way we conduct ourselves in society, and whether we're civil and in our actions, or we're just rambunctious and outlandish. It all comes out because Jesus said that out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. And I believe that's true, because I'm not trying to be right about anything or anything like that, but um, if you notice that I'm always trying to make a video, I'm always trying to be inspirational, I'm always trying to give some kind of knowledge on something that I know about. And there are people that have similar knowledge. I'm not better than them. I'm just trying to be more inspirational, that these things can change. You can change the way you are. You can change the way you've done things. You can change the habit you have. You can change it. Those all those things are in your control. And today I'm in Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Okay. And I haven't read it yet. Just like always, I don't read it before I get on. I don't want to try to take mental notes or anything like that. And I always ask God to speak through me, so that, or at least give me the words to speak, so that I'm speaking from the heart and out of the context of what is written in the word. And I trust God to line it all up. And sometimes it looks like it might not line up. Sometimes I mean, I don't know where the Lord is taking this this specific presentation right now. I don't know. Um, we don't always know what God is doing. We want to know. We want to know every step of the process. We want to know exact times, when is it going to happen? What's going to happen? How is it going to happen? Where is it going to happen? We want all the details. And sometimes we just don't get that. We just have to take it on faith and believe that God is going to do it right. And God has not yet to lead anyone into danger unless that person themselves chose a path away from God. And he then didn't lead them into danger. They led themselves into it. It's you think that God being the authority over all existence, that it would be plausible to say that God is in control of that. Um, you got to remember that we're made in the likeness and in the image of God. We're not made exactly like God, but in the likeness and in the image of. We're modeled after him. And the deepest part of that is the fact that we can make decisions and choices on our own. God doesn't control that part of us. He always gives us a choice. Adam and Eve had a choice in the garden, and everything was based on a choice from the first people on earth. And there was a choice that was made that led us to make the choices we make today. And the thing about it is that when we make choices and they don't work out in our favor, we want to blame it on something else or somebody else, or we don't want to be responsible or accountable for our actions or our decisions. We don't want to do that. And it's difficult to say that everybody, there's always there's only like maybe a handful of people on the earth that actually take responsibility and accountability for every action they've taken, or every, you know, I'm just recently learning how to uh not be so verbal about everything, you know. Uh what I'm saying is like I take accountability and I'm responsible for what I do. I'm I'm here by myself. So if something goes wrong or a mistake is made, I don't have anybody to blame. That's a good example. So what I do is I try to take the accountability and the responsibility for things that I'm thinking about doing, and I'll take that thought captive to the obedience of Christ, and I'll think about what I need to do and how I need to do it, and I'll wait on God for an answer. And sometimes the answers come quickly, and sometimes they come over a process of time, because the outcome can have many different facets, or there could be many different types of outcomes, and you don't really want to make a mistake and have the outcome be something that you weren't envisioning in your way of thinking. So I consider the consequences. I consider the possibilities. I consider the successes and the failures. And I'm not saying that I do it all completely 100% perfectly. I don't do it all. I mean, that's why I take it captive to the obedience of Christ, because I want to take that thought captive and I want to say, Lord, guide me in this. Show me how to do it. Um, I'm going to wait on you for the answer, Lord. I'm trusting you to provide whatever I need in this situation. And the way it works is when I get that deep in thought, I'm trying to remember that God has always made a way for people that sought him wholeheartedly. And he still does it all the time, every time. And the detail about that is God never fails. God never fails at anything. And there's people that are like, well, what about this thing I asked for and it still hasn't happened? I'm going to tell you the truth right now. There are things that I've asked for that I'm still waiting on. I asked for things 30 years ago, you know, and I'm still waiting on it. Sometimes your timing is not God's timing. And I like paying attention to people who are well versed and practiced and been in ministry for decades. Okay, that much of their lives, they've dedicated their lives to serving the Lord, and at least it appears that way. And they are far more knowledgeable in areas that I can only hope to attain one day, at least to say the least. But when I listen to one specific, he made an analogy one day during one of his sermons, and he said, I could give my son a car, when he doesn't even know how to drive. Giving keys to my son, letting him take off in the car when he hasn't even been taught how to handle the car, taught how to drive a car, taught how to maintain the car, and giving him the keys too early could cost him his life. But then if you take this model type is, oh, you ready to drive a car? Go cut the grass. Are you ready to drive a car? Go clean your room up. You ready to drive a car? Do your chores. Take the trash out. You ready to drive a car? Walk to the store for me. Run some errands. You know, get your bicycle. And all that has nothing to do with driving a car, right? But what it leads to is the training of responsibility and discipline in order to show that or build character in what you say you're ready to do. And it's easy to get mad because it's not happening fast enough, or impatient, because I still get impatient. I'm impatient right now, to be honest. Not as impatient as I used to be, but uh, being impatient is, you can choose to overcome that, but it takes practice. You can't just up and just stop doing something that you're accustomed to doing all the time. So let me give you an example. And this is what I was really building up to in the first place. Not only discipline to be able to receive what you're asking for, and that's a process. And if you follow the Lord in your whole heart and you really are fervent in things you do, and you're determined, and you're really working toward showing your ability to be faithful in that thing, then you can get it sooner than you think. But that's why I'm still waiting on things I've been waiting for 30 years, because I've been undisciplined. But the next thing I want to talk about is a word that I talked about in like one of the short things that I put up. Um, and I put it on my Facebook page. I don't really those things disappear after so many hours, so many 24 hours or something. But it talks about addiction. Okay. And this is a touchy subject for some people because, what people, and I'm just gonna be honest, and I don't want to sound too forthcoming or um, like I don't know anything about it, because like I've said before several times in several different videos that I don't talk about things that I really don't have experience in. You don't get to be 47 years old and not have experience in a vast array of things, in a plethora of things actually. But addiction is the word. Addiction is, in my perspective, a way of saying this is my excuse to keep doing it. This is my excuse to keep doing what I want to do, what I like. And let me give you an example. There's people that are addicted to alcohol, addicted to cigarettes, addicted, right? We're going to call it addiction for right now, but I call it a choice, an excuse. When a person say I'm an addict, they're making an excuse and putting the label on a problem they choose to have. And I know it sounds mean, and you sound, this guy's full of crap. Well, if you get angry at the fact that I'm disclosing it to you in this fashion, then that just shows your level of denial about the excuse you're making on the habit you keep by choice. When you get a reaction, when you have a reaction of somebody saying something that's a sensitive subject, instead of hearing what needs to be said, and you get angry about it, then that is your denial kicking out. That's whatever it is in you that you're rejecting the idea of any help at all. Okay. You say, I want help, but the help comes and it's not the way you want it to be. So you reject it. And that in itself is an excuse. Trust me, I've been there. I'm going to show you this bottle again. This bottle, okay? See this bottle? Now, when I was younger, I did a lot of drinking. I drank a lot. There were times where I had to have a joint every day. I smoked every day. You don't think that those things are addictive, but they are. And the basis of addiction is you like the way the thing that you're doing or choosing to do makes you feel. You like the way it makes you feel, so you do it again. But the drink that I take isn't going to jump into the glass by itself and then pour itself down my throat. I have to physically, and I'm going to just take this, and I don't have any rights to this. This isn't my label. This is just something that I bought at a store. This isn't mine. I don't own the copyrights to it. I'm not advertising it at all. This isn't an advertisement for anything of this nature. It doesn't have anything to do with any disclosures or any copyrights or anything. I'm just using this as an example. In fact, I'm going to keep it covered from this point on. But think about it. I have to literally open this bottle and pour it into a cup, and then drink it. So it's a choice that I make to do that. It's a choice but this is an old bottle, and I've had this for quite some time, and I look at it as a reminder that I don't need that. That's not something I need. And when I had my habits, I smoked cigarettes for a long time also, and the cigarette isn't just going to jump into my mouth and light itself. I have to pick it up and physically light it, put it into my mouth, and inhale the smoke. I can't just do it just because it doesn't make me, it doesn't force itself into my body. I have to put it in there. So you get to understanding what I'm saying about the addiction being a choice. A person has to choose to drink. A person has to choose to smoke. A person has to choose to use drugs or choose to stay in an environment where they have access to it regularly. And if they choose to do it, if they're in the environment that they have access to it and they're able to resist the urge to do it, they're making a choice not to do it. And it can be done. But there's so many things of our lives where we have influence from the people that are around us. Oh, you've always done it. Come on, just do it some more. Man, you've been doing it this long. Quit being a wuss. You know, they peer pressure. Come on, do it with me. Don't be a. And that in itself is childish. If those people want to be that way, don't let them drag you down with them with pressure. If they call you a name like because you're weak, if they say you're weak because you won't do it, no, you just remember, well, I'll just be weak. I'll just be weak and I'll sit over here and I won't do it today because I don't want to. And you're not going to make me do it. Okay? It's a choice. So what most people call an addiction, I call an excuse to do it. And just to give you an example, people have to choose to walk that path. And if you really want your life to change, it starts with a choice to change it. Are you going to let somebody determine the outcome of your life based on what they think about you and how you should live? That's them giving you permission to live your life. You're waiting on their approval for what it is you want to do with your life. Let me get into this. So Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Let me see how far we've gone into this so far so that I know if I'm on the right track with this, because I'm not sure what God is trying to do here, but I just want to make sure that you understand I'm still just trying to be an influence, an encouragement, an inspiration, and a motivation to people, because you have the ability in you. God gave you a spirit of power and of love and of sound mind, and the devil doesn't want you to have access to that. And if the devil can devour your thought process and keep you confused about what it is you should do and have the influences around you to keep you trapped where you are, then it's hard for you to tap into that power or understand how to apply it to your life. Chapter 5 in Ecclesiastes. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. If you make a promise, keep it. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Don't make promises you can't keep. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? Don't try to manipulate God, because you have the ability to choose the right way to do something. And if it feels like it's wrong, Most likely it is. So just think it through, because you don't know what kind of damage you'll be causing to you, because it's going to come back. Whatever you put out is going to come back to you. For in the multitude of dreams and many words, there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou God. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. That sounds like an addiction to me. Listen to what it says in verse 10 of chapter 5 in Ecclesiastes. It says, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver. It's never going to be enough. I need more, I need more, I need more. That's an addiction. But you have to make a choice on whether that thing is going to rule you, or are you going to rule it? And in most times, if a person calls something an addiction, they're making an excuse to keep doing it because they enjoy doing it. They like it. They're never satisfied. They have to have more. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes, except for them to see it? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet. Oh, I know that. Yeah, he's right about that. That is absolutely true, because somebody who has been working their butt off and they finally get to rest, it feels great to get rested. Whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. The rich people, they're so addicted to having things and having more. It's an addiction. Being rich is an addiction. That's why you see people with billions and billions of dollars. It's never enough. Getting rich is an addiction. Getting high is an addiction. Getting drunk is an addiction. But it's a choice. You always have a choice. Don't forget the choice. You can choose not. If the people around you are calling you weak because you won't join in their shenanigans and be destroyed with them, then let them be foolish on their own. You don't have to follow suit with them. You don't have to do what they do. Because if you do what they do, you're being influenced by the thing that's holding you back. And you know it's holding you back, but you choose to follow the suit of the people that are being held back by it. So you're going to be stuck in that position. I'm just trying to encourage you here. You're stronger than that. Be strong. You can overcome, even if you need to get assistance in how to think about something. Let somebody who has been there, that knows how to get away from it, help you get away from it. Let them talk to you and have an encouraging word with you, that you might be strengthened by the brethren. Let somebody, not necessarily the brethren, but somebody who is relative to that area that you're trying. You don't want to, if you're trying to succeed at something, you don't want to be surrounded by people who are constantly failing and not even trying. You can't be successful hanging around people who do nothing. You can't win if you're hanging around losers. I don't see pigeons and eagles hanging out together. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely, riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand. As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came, and shall take nothing of his labor which he may carry away in his hand. You might obtain and build and have a lot of stuff, but you're not going to be able to take it with you when you die. And if you don't have anybody to leave it to, then, or if you destroy it before you leave or waste it all, then you don't have anybody to pass it to, or the person you need to pass it to is not going to have anything because you've wasted it your entire life. Don't be that person that's wasteful, because if you waste time, time is something you don't get back. If you can wait, you can waste money because you can make more money to replace the money you just wasted. But one thing you'll never get back is time. So in the time that you have available to you, you don't want to just focus on one facet of life. You don't want to just focus on one specific thing. You don't want to just focus on how can I get out of it, or how much money can I make, or trying to buy as many cars as you have or as you can. And those are nice things to do, to be occupied, but don't make it an addiction to where it's overcoming your life and making you stress about what you have more than the relationships you have in your life. That's just the way I do it. That's what helped me. Okay. Realizing the people that need me in my life, and realizing that there are people that need me more than I need that thing that I was wanting to have in my body that I really didn't need. There's things that are worth it, and there are things that are not worth it. And what seems to be more worth it to me is going and fighting for the good things that I know are worth time, like the relationships in my life, the people I love, my mother and father, my children, the relationships that matter, that are more important to me. That right there is my driving force. You have to find what helps you. You have to find what helps you to focus. What is the thing that you really hope to do in your life, with your life? And what are you surrounding yourself with? What are you letting go into your mind? What kind of thoughts are you letting be implanted in your head? Are they worth considering? Are they something that will help you accomplish a goal? What actions are the people around you taking? Are they still doing the same thing they were doing last year and the year before that and the year before that? Or are they constantly evolving, trying to learn something new and build character based in that thing and move forward to make progress, to build a better lifestyle, or to help others around them succeed, or bring the next person up with them, or, just to be in a position to help the people that rely on them? Are they doing that, or are they just doing it for personal, selfish, vain gain? So if they're doing it simply for themselves, I got me, I, me, being all conservative about it, then that's fine. I'm not judging anybody. I've got my own things to deal with, but that's a problem. It says here in the Bible, and this also is a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit hath he that hath labored for the wind? He's wasting all that effort, or she wasting all that effort into doing everything they want to do, and it's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody, and they're being selfish about everything. And if they do have somebody that rely on them, they're not going to leave it to them because they're so worried about it. They're trying to take it to the grave with them. I'll get off of that. I'm sorry. A few more verses here. I'm in verse 17 now. Chapter 5 in Ecclesiastes. All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath with his sickness. Addiction. Sickness. With his addiction. Okay? He's very angry, contentious. See, the darkness is not necessarily turn off all the lights and hide in the closet. I'm talking about the Bible says in this specific context, all his days also he eateth in darkness. That means he's not really he or she is not the light, because Jesus talked about the light in the eye. If the light in the eye, if your eye, the eyes are the windows to the soul, pretty much. And I can't remember exactly, and I don't want to jump to another book in the Bible to try to break it down. But it's that specific. It's the light in the eye. It's what if your eye be full of darkness, how great is that darkness? So it's the darkness that's within. It's the darkness that's inside. It's, you know, the contention. Look that word up. Contention is something it's an evil thing. It's something that leads to selfishness, and you know they don't care about anybody as long as they have people doing stuff for them, and that's all that matters. Conservative. They don't care about what other people want to do. It's all about them all the time and what they're hungry for and what they want to see done. But they don't care how anybody else is struggling. They don't care about the people around them that's helping them, as long as those people are helping them. And that's the key point. It's hard for me to break down and explain, and that's a whole different topic on its own, but I'm going to move forward. Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink, and to enjoy the good of all his labor, that he taketh under the sun, all the days of his life, which God giveth him. For it is his portion. Every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God. For he shall not much remember the days of his life, because God answereth him in the joy of his heart. See, that's where the light is. But if you're in darkness and you don't have that, if you're eating in the darkness and angry with your sickness, you have wrath with your sickness or your addiction. If you're angry with your addiction, and that means you don't have God there. You don't have God there. You're not trying to worship God. You don't want to have God guiding you and leading you. You don't believe. You're agnostic. You're an atheist or whatever. Whatever you do, you worship demons or whatever you do, or you don't care. You have hate in your heart, and you see somebody who's a different skin color than you, and you want to hold them responsible for all the ignorant choices you've made in your life, and then you hate somebody because of the way they look, or you hate somebody because they're the wrong skin color, or you hate somebody just because they're not doing what you want them to do or what you think they should do, and that's darkness. That's evil stuff. You don't want to drive somebody to slavery because you just want to see you succeed. I talked about this before, where I've been in environments with my whole where I had a lot of family in the area, and they would as soon see me fail than help me. So that's the kind of things I'm talking about, and it's not really a good thing. I don't blame anybody for being who they are, because I'm being at the end of the day, to be honest, the only thing I can trust them to do is be who they are. I can trust that they'll be who they are. But to trust them with my life, or trust them to help me, or trust them to be reliable, or trust them to want to see the good happen for the next person, I don't know that I can trust them for that, because I've never seen them be that way. I'm not saying that they're not trustworthy in that manner, but I'm just saying, I have specifically seen what I know that is capable of them. The nature, and I don't know, people are capable of changing. People can change. And that's what this is all about right here. People can change. People can be different. People can be apologetic. People can be make better decisions and better choices for their lives. It's easy to do, but you have to start. You don't just say, okay, I'm going to go on a road trip and I'm going to drive from Florida to Oregon and I'll be there in 10 hours. That's like saying, I'm going to run a marathon and I'm going to do it in one step. That's not going to happen. It takes a couple of days to go from one side of the country to the other, and it takes quite a few steps to run a marathon and at a specific speed or pace. So everything is led by the determination that's in your heart. If you really, really are focused on seeing something happen, or you want to change, or you want to tap into that power that God has put in you, the power and the love and the sound mind. See, the sound mind, remember that part. You're able to think for yourself, but depending on the environment that you stay in, or the people that you keep around you, or the company you keep, and the influence that you allow to inspire you on any level, is going to be based, is going to start the way you think and your process of the way you think. And your sound mind won't be so sound anymore. In fact, the sounds in your mind will start sounding like the people that are encouraging and influencing you to do whatever it is you're doing. So if you want your thoughts to line up with what it is you're wanting to see happen or come to manifest in your life, you have to get around people that think in that direction so you can be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I hope all that made sense to you. I did this today on September 30th, 2023, because God's got me going to be busy today. And I just wanted to make sure that I encourage some people. I want to make sure that people are inspired and wanting to move forward and knowing that there's positive actions that you can take. And the book of Ecclesiastes, to me, is helping me understand the ways of the way people are in general, even though this is all the perspective of one man. But God granted this one man all wisdom and everything else. So he got to experience a vast array of things. He got to experience life in a way that a lot of us can only even dream of. Even the richest person today can't even experience life the way Solomon did. Because Solomon had all freedom. He had God at the center of this whole situation. God was guiding him and instructing him in his wisdom for him to experience the wisdom that he has that caused him to write his book. If that makes sense to you, then it's not going to hurt you to pick up the Bible and start reading from Genesis 1. It never hurts. And if people poke fun at you for reading the Bible, it's only because I call them haters, because they can't relate to the fact that you want to live better and do better and see a better. I'm not here to impress people. I'm here to impress upon people, but not impress people. I don't really care to impress people by what I'm doing. If they are impressed by what I'm doing, awesome. Bless God. Thank you, Jesus. But I'm not here to specifically impress anybody or try to make it. I'm here to make an impression, but not to, or impress upon, but I'm not trying to impress, if that makes sense. All three different ways of impressionism. But I hope you have a wonderful week. This coming week, I'm still in Saturday. Today is still Saturday when I made this video. I'm going to go to church Sunday morning. So this is going to be something that I wanted to do so that I can give glory to God in the same way I would if I'm going to work. Okay. And I want to take my Sabbath day so I can honor God in that day. God said, don't work on the Sabbath, but he didn't say anything about worship. He didn't say anything about healing. He didn't say anything about forgiving sin. He just said, don't work. And all those things are not considered work. They're considered worship. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed week. And I hope the Lord guides you and instructs you in his wisdom. And remember, he is a prayer answering, promise keeping God. And faith is active. Faith is moving. Okay. Faith is doing something that is moving toward the thing that you're asking God to do in your life. And be vigilant, be sober. For the devil roams as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Don't be his next meal, and don't let him steal the thoughts in your mind. In fact, take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ, and let him guide you in his wisdom. Let the Lord guide you. God is a solid light in whom there's no shadow of turning. There's nothing that God doesn't know about. There's nothing that God can't fix. There's nothing that God can't give you answers for. But you have to believe, and you have to have faith, and you have to trust him. That's the only way you're going to get it. You can't demand anything of God. You can't command anything of God. God is your creator. God gives you the ability to continue living life. Trust him, and he'll guide you. Be blessed, be filled with the Spirit, and be an encouragement to the people around you. And go with God in Jesus' name. Have a great day and week.